Hi, this is Dr. Marisa Chan with Discovering Parenthood. Today I am going to talk about when rewards become bribery. And as parents, we can all be guilty of this. So, first, let's talk about what is a reward. You know, when we're trying to motivate our children to establish a new behavior, get into routine, learn something new, we often want to reward them for that, for doing a good job. So, rewards are meant to establish a new behavior, and oftentimes we'll use a behavior chart, for example, and I'm going through this right now. So it's actually a really great example. My youngest is potty training. This is her potty chart. As you can see, this is, let me see, where is it there? And this is her interpretation, her artistic interpretation of a potty. But this is her chart. We put her name on it, it goes next to the potty, and every time she goes, she puts a sticker on. Last week, it was the same thing. These are not all of her successes. This is her randomly sitting down and then giving herself a sticker, which is fine, it's her chart. You see there are fewer stickers. We moved her from simply putting a sticker every time she sat to she puts a sticker that she made. Some of these stickers, you can tell she colored them herself when she performed the act of going to a potty. And this is to establish her behavior. Now, eventually, we will slow this down. So when we want to establish a behavior, we want to give our children a reward on a continuous basis, meaning we want to do it all the time. So perhaps that's pottying, brushing their teeth, making their bed, whatever the target behavior is, that is the basis of reward. Also, the thing with charts, and I love charts because they give the child a visual, and for young children that is so helpful because some of this is abstract. So a reward in a chart helps them keep track in a visual, concrete manner. The other thing with charts and rewards is they're meant to go away. So right now she is getting a sticker, or perhaps it will be brushing teeth. Perhaps it will be making up a bed every time they do their homework on time. Whatever the target behavior is, and it's a specific measurable behavior. You start off with on a continuous basis. You then move on to what's called a variable reward or a variable schedule. What does this mean? Well, naturally, most of us as parents do this. It means, so just use the potty for example. Here, every time she sat down, she gave herself a sticker. Her stickers are within reach. Now you can control whatever that reward is, whether it's a sticker, a token, whatever reward reinforcement you're using, stick with it. But here, I then removed every time she sat down to every time she actually performs the act. So whether that was, urinating or having a bowel movement, that's the only time she received the sticker. A variable, so once we've established the behavior and they're performing it consistently, a variable schedule is when we start to slowly remove the rewards. So perhaps it's every 3 or 4 times, perhaps it's only once a week, but you're tapering off the reward. The idea is we want them to internalize the external motivation, the external behavior. We want to establish the habit. Once we've established the routine, the rewards, the schedules are no longer necessary. So when do we go down that slippery slope of bribery? Where does something positive turn into bribery? Well, there's good bribery, and then there's not so good bribery. So here's a great example, and it just happened to us recently. We went for a family photo shoot, and this is an example of bribery. This was a good example of rewards. An example of bribery was we went for family photos, and anyone who has more than one child understands it is mission impossible to get each child at the same time in the same spot, smiling and looking at the camera. It can be an uphill battle. So to establish this shot, and we had a wonderful photographer who got some absolutely phenomenal action shots of jumping and running and playing, which is great. But sometimes you want some stills. So my husband bribed the kids. Whoever sits down, when you guys sit down and look at the camera, I will take you guys to, and he named a local toy store. Well, lo and behold, all three kids ran to this tree stump, sat down, smiled, and looked at the camera, and she was able to get the shot. That is a good example of bribery. Not so much going to the toy store, because, goodness knows I don't need more toys. But it was good because it was it was a special occasion. It was once in a blue moon. And there are times as parents when we are put in a position where we're in this kind of almost extraordinary circumstance and the children just are not going to cooperate, especially when you have toddlers. Older ones you can kind of reason with. And so that's a good example of bribery because it was not food. Please do not use food as bribery or as a reward. I think I'm going to have to do a separate video on food. With bribery, what will happen is if it's used on a regular daily basis, is you're setting your child up to be rewarded on a consistent basis. The idea of this is it goes away and they internalize the behavior and then it's gone. When you consistently bribe your children, if you eat your carrots, your broccoli, if you take 3 more bites of food, you can have ice cream. Well, ice cream every night or a cookie every night or a toy every day, whatever that bribe is, you've gone from reward to bribe. And now you're setting them up to fail as an adult. Here is why. The idea of this is the behavior becomes internalized and they do it automatically without the reward. And that is the goal. When you're constantly bribing, well, now you have to keep that up. One, and who wants to do that? Give your kids ice cream or candy or cookies or a toy or whatever that bribe is every time they do this behavior. For what? 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? What are you setting them up for as an adult in a relationship, as a friend, as an adult child? Those bribes will only get bigger. So you have a young child now. Maybe for my kids, it was the toy store. And a $5 toy might do. But what about when that $5 toy becomes a $1,200 cell phone? Or $600 Xbox? Or whatever that may be. Or that $100 pair of sneakers. And it's simply not reasonable. Behaviors need to become established, internal. You are the parent, the guardian. You have an authority. And there are times when it's, you need to eat your vegetables. I need you to clean your room. This has to get done. And for those behaviors, there just simply is not a reward. There's not a bribe. It's my authority is telling you to do this. So to recap, rewards establish a behavior, a targeted, specific, measurable behavior. Good examples: potty training, brushing teeth, making up their bed, and maybe it's even doing homework. I ran into that recently as well, and I didn't use a chart. I sat my child down and I said, let's brainstorm. How can we solve this? This is an issue. So we established a homework space, a routine, to get that accomplished. And now it's internalized. I could take away some of those supports, so to speak. The idea is those supports go away. Here's another example. When you think of a baby tree and you plant it, it's first planted into the ground. There are often wooden supports attached so that it can have deep roots and it can grow strong. Think of it that way. Eventually, those supports come away. So should rewards eventually have to go away. If you're constantly bribing your child to do something that you have told them, a behavior that should or needs to be already established and already internalized, well, now you've slipped into bribery. And again, what is that going to look like in friendships? As an adult, are they going to be rewarded every time they clean up their mess in their house? Every time they do their dishes or pay a bill? That simply just doesn't exist in adulthood. I wish I got rewarded for doing dishes. That would be great, but I don't. My reward is that the dishes are done. So we want those behaviors to become internalized. And if your child, perhaps it's a behavior that they simply don't want to do. If you're bribing your kid to ride their bike, well, maybe they're just not ready. Again, the behavior has to be targeted and measurable. Riding a bike, well, that's not necessary. They'll do it when they're ready. Potty training, that's necessary. Brushing their teeth, that's necessary. Homework, that's necessary. There's necessary behavior and there's unnecessary behavior. Riding a bike, let me think of some other ones. And playing a sport. Some things just aren't necessary and don't need to be rewarded. We don't have to reward every single behavior that we want. Just because I may want my kid to skateboard doesn't mean they want to skateboard. There are certain things we need to let go and realize we don't have to reward it. Well, at that point, it's not even a reward. Let me correct myself. It's a bribe. So rewards are good when the behavior is targeted, specific, and is necessary. Doing chores, necessary. Homework, necessary. Certain things just aren't necessary. So if you're bribing your kids to eat their dinner, don't bribe to eat dinner. That's a consequence. They didn't eat their dinner, just take it away. Hey, you're obviously not hungry. I'm going to put this in the fridge, and when you're hungry, we can heat it up. You don't have to bribe them. If you're giving them other meals right before bed and they're not eating their nutritious meal, well, because they know they're going to get something else, so they're not going to eat it. So you're actually rewarding the wrong behavior. So reward the right behavior. Don't fall into that slippery slope of bribery. Bribery, once in a while, once in a blue moon, when you're having to get all of your kids to look at the camera and say cheese or jump or whatever makes them smile. Perhaps there's a time and a place for everything, and we as parents need to exercise wisdom and understand the difference between the two. So I hope you found this helpful, the difference between rewards, bribery. Let's stay away from that slippery slope. We don't want to set our children up to fail, to have a hard time, a difficult time as adults. So as you're targeting this behavior, think of what this is going to look like in a 15-year-old, in a 19-year-old, in a 25-year-old. Is that the behavior you want? If the answer is no, then don't do it. Find another way. If you do need help finding another way, please feel free to contact me. I'd love to brainstorm with you. You can give me a visit at discoveringparenthoodnj.com. You can visit me on Facebook, or as I always call, the old-fashioned 973-932-0858. And before I forget, next Friday, I believe is May 4th, I will be at Oakview Elementary School in Bloomfield, New Jersey. So if you have a chance, stop by and visit. I will be there from 6 to 8. So stop by, bring your questions, bring comments. You can stop by and schedule a 20-minute free consultation, which I also offer. I hope to see you there. And again, leave your comments and questions in the sections below. Thank you.